Are West Ham ready for this next season starting this Saturday? Well, let's dig into this one because for me, they're not ready. It's the usual thing with West Ham. I'm sure if you're looking at your own team, whichever team you support, you might feel a little bit the same because at this stage we don't really know. We don't really know how our teams are going to perform, and until we get past the third or fourth, fifth game, then we kind of have a really good idea of how we're playing. Are we getting any momentum? Are we getting any results? But pre-season for me wasn't that great. Yeah, we got a couple of results here and there over in the States, and we had this kind of this Boyle Cup, this one-off match against Lille, and it was a ball fest. The usual things for West Ham in terms of signings. We've made a couple of signings. But it's been a very frustrating time for us as well in terms of the players that we're going for, the players that we're pitching for, but they never materialise. And then possibly West Ham, more than any other club that I can think of, is there's a real divide in terms of front of house and back of house. And what I mean by that is in terms of the manager, the coaching staff and the players, I call that front of house. Then the back of house, it's the ownership, it's the structure of the club, it's the scouting, all that kind of stuff. So how we buy players, it's a real farce. And we had a director of football, and that wasn't really liked. And the owner, who there's a big petition for West Ham fans to sign this petition, and I fully support it, to try and force the ownership out. This is David Sullivan out, and his henchwoman, Karen Brady, out, just to get them out of the club. So we can't force them to sell. We can't kick them out, but we can encourage them with loud voices to say, look, we don't want you in this club anymore. You've ruined it for us. You've ruined it, the experience. But I want to backtrack on that a little bit, because there's always something to counteract that a little bit. And that's how we play. So when COVID happened, and then we were playing behind closed doors, we started to have a run. A former Antonio was knocking them in. We've got Jesse Lingard on loan, probably one of the best loan signings we've ever made. And it was fantastic, and we did really, really well. And that gave us the next couple of years in Europe as well. And obviously we won the Conference League as well. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. But in terms of our league form and the way we were playing in the league, it was only really that COVID period and the first bit of the next season that we were playing well. Thereafter, in the league, we were playing terrible football, and it just got worse and worse. And that's why lots of fans couldn't understand. Other team fans couldn't understand. Well, why would we want to get rid of Moyes if he just won the Conference League? And we were always trying to say it's the league form, it's the way we play football. Potter's come in, and I thought initially, maybe he's I can see what he's trying to do, but unfortunately, it just got worse and worse. The league form and the way we're playing, the way we're attracting players, the way we're treating players, the way we're playing them out of position. And there's a real problem with the management and the training at West Ham and how we deliver on the pitch. So when we had that COVID era, and we still had the problems with the backroom stuff in terms of the back end of the house, the ownership, and there was lots of protests going on at that time. It was still the same, that we wanted them out, but at least we were getting results. At least there was a bit of a feel good factor around the club in terms of results, in terms of the way we were playing. But then it just went away again. And this season, as far as I'm aware, there are so many people fans who have just not renewed their season ticket. Now, I renewed my season ticket a couple of months ago. Actually, I renewed it quite early, but I was really toying with whether I should or not. I didn't renew my lad's season ticket. It was only just me going. And this is probably one of the first seasons. All last season, I was thinking, I'm not sure if I can even be bothered to go and watch them, right? But I forced myself to go. And every time I went, I was really frustrated, just like many other fans, right? In terms of the performance, even if we won, the performances were just terrible in the way we were playing. And from defence to midfield, from playing out of position up front and not utilising, our strikers' best attributes to make them more effective. We've got a whole history of not doing this. And it's just become a really frustrating. It's become a terrible team to watch. And, our league position didn't lie last season. Man United, Spurs, and us, we were the worst teams in the league, bar the 3 that went down. And you kind of speak to a lot of fans and you speak to a lot of people and you talk about West Ham, this is West Ham fans, and you think, well, crikey, we could really go down. And you're always hopeful at the start of the season, right? But putting aside of the ownership and the way we do business behind the scenes, which I really don't like. I've hated it. I've hated it for the last few years, even more so. But the way we put in managers and the way we play our football, or we try and convince the fan base, oh yeah, we're building and there's a great team spirit around the club and everything. That can be broken within 90 minutes. Within the first game against Sunderland away, that could be broken. They're hungry, Sunderland, to prove a point. They're coming up, they're spending money, and big money they're spending. And they're a big club, Sunderland, and they've got a big fan base as well. So we're going up there, and I don't believe that we're fully prepared. I don't believe that Potter has got this group of players, all playing his type of football that I'm not even sure that we even like. I'm not even sure what the West Ham identity, the West Ham way is anymore. I don't think there is a West Ham way anymore. Not from when I was growing up as a West Ham fan. Not what I always identified as West Ham way. That has been long gone. The way we play football is just terrible. And it's not just a Potter thing. This is a Moyes thing. This is a Lopetegui thing. Probably the last time we were playing decent football, whilst we didn't always get the results, certainly just before he was given the old Spanish Archer, was under Bilic. For me, that time that was great. The last season as the Upton Park, that was some decent football. Yeah, we had some decent players there as well. We still got some decent players, but for the most part, either playing out of position last season, or just underperforming so badly. Paqueta, he had that whole legal case over his shoulders, over his head. Now, of course, that's gone away. But, is he still the player that is going to do it for us? Or are the club secretly just trying to, get rid of him as well and just, sell him on? Hopefully some offers are coming for him. Look, if he stays and he performs, fantastic. But if he stays and he doesn't perform, then it's dead weight. I'm all for trying to build a nucleus of players, a nucleus within the squad that are hardworking, that want to play for West Ham, that have it in their core that they want to play for West Ham. And I think there's only a very select few that we can say right now that we've got that at West Ham. I think Bowen is one of those. But if he's treated badly in the next couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if they cash in on Bowen as well. We had Creswell. I thought he was great. Obviously, he's gone now. He's gone off to Stoke, hasn't he? Ings has gone. We've offloaded a couple of players. I like the attitude of Fulkrug last season, although he was injured for most of the season. And he scored a couple of goals in pre-season, as has Bowen. So it's not all doom and gloom, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that West Ham are ready for this season. And I've been speaking to my lad about it, and we're saying, look, hey, they could potentially go down. If we don't get this right, we potentially go down. Even this is like doom and gloom right at the start of the season. And I'm always forever hopeful of, West Ham coming out with a result. But more than a result, it's a performance. I want to see a performance. I want to go to the games and enjoy the games. Because this could be the very last season that I go and watch West Ham on a regular basis. This is the last season. I might even just have I might just give up my season ticket at the end of the season if it's that bad. If we just don't, and it's front of house, it's the team, it's the management, it's the coaching, but it's also back of house. And we've got to have something where we're unifying this club together again with the fans. There are lots of people who don't like the stadium and the way it is and the way we're playing football. The way they treated fans, in terms of, anything to do with the club. It's almost like they want our money, they want our loyalty, but they don't give us anything in return. And I'm sure if you're a fan of another team, you'll be exactly the same. I'm sure you're at some stages of your, your fan experience with your club, you're going to have this experience. You feel that you're giving so much, but you're not getting it in return. And sometimes it's not just about the bad performances or the bad results. If the club is a really great club and the way they value your fan base, then it kind of makes up for it a little bit. But ultimately, you still want your team to perform, or whatever level they're at, you still want them to perform, or at least give it a good go. And we're seeing this time and time again, where teams, and not only West Ham, but teams are setting up to play this kind of safe game and not be adventurous and not go forward. And I think West Ham are just incapable of that for the last few seasons, of going forward with purpose, with adventure, and so many missed passes, so many misplaced passes, so many, times losing possession, giving the ball away, needers are conceding sloppy goals. And this is time and time again with West Ham. And it's not just a new thing. This has been going on for so bloody long that it's painful to watch. And so, I'm a, through and through West Ham fan, have been for my whole life, pretty much, right? Go to the games, been a season ticket holder, been going to games off and on for years, as and when I could. And I always thought, well, I was kind of quite critical of fans who left early, of when we're playing and when underperforming, even if we're losing. But the more and more it went on last season, I could kind of understand it. I could totally understand it. I'm one of those fans who will kind of stay to the bitter end, and I'll stay to the end because I want to hold the players to account. I want to hold the coaches to account. I want to hold the management to account. I want to hold the club to account to say we're paying this great money here, this amazing amount of money that most of us can't even afford really, but we're putting it in there to hopefully be entertained, have something to hold on to a little bit. And the club from the ownership side as a structure, it's not a West Ham family anymore. It's not a club that, warms the heart a little bit. It used to be, doesn't seem to, at stages. We've always had our problems, right? As a lot of teams have, a lot of clubs have. But in terms of front of house, in terms of the way we play, it's just terrible. And this is a kind of a shot at Potter and all the players, not just individual players, all the players. You've got to be going forward. You've got to be adventurous. You've got to give the fans something to get excited about and to support you and to chant you and to, come out with the songs and everything like that. We've got fans leaving in droves, not renewing their season tickets. The problem with West Ham, they've got to have a massive step on this as well. Because there's so many tourist fans, there's so many fans of other teams coming in, even the ones that we're playing, they're there, and you can see them with their colours as well. And this is one of those cases where you got to say to the marshal, to the stewards, and say they're wearing another team's shirt, regardless if they're coming in from abroad. You don't wear another team's shirt in West Ham fans. Therefore, get them out. I don't care how much you've paid. This should be made absolutely clear when you try and buy a ticket. You are not allowed to wear another team's shirt if you're going in with West Ham fans. It is not right. There's so many problems with West Ham in terms of the ground, in terms of the way we experience our football. But fundamentally, it starts with the team if they're not playing well. And that sets the tone for everything else, because then it becomes a soulless place that nobody's saying anything. We start off, we do our, bit of singing for about 10 minutes. Then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, because there's nothing to cheer about, we get this kind of crappy football, this boring football, this frustrating football, and the place just goes dead and nobody's saying anything. And more often than not, it's the away fans, they're out singing the home fans. And that, for me, that just shouldn't be. This channel is not all about West Ham. It's not all about football. It's about boxing and sports as well. But this season, I will be talking more about football. I will be talking more about my experiences. And it's more about to see if you're having similar experiences with your club and, you know, what you're feeling as well. This is not about me saying that West Ham are better than anybody else or any other team, or that my experience is worse than anybody else's. I'm just saying this is what we're experiencing, and it's terrible, and it's frustrating when you go and watch a game. And I travel, you know, I don't live right next to Stratford, where West Ham play these days. I mean, I live out of London, so I have to travel in. Granted, it's not the greatest distance, but it still is, you know. And you think, well, God, can I be bothered to go? Can I be bothered to go? Our first home game is against Chelsea. Then we got, you know, soon after we got Spurs and we got Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are on fire. Spurs are, you know, obviously they're going to want to prove a point. And Chelsea, well, they're world champions, of course. You know, they're going to come on strong as well. So, but our first test is against Sunderland, and I just don't think West Ham are ready. I just don't think the club are ready to address another season. Let us know your thoughts about your club. Do you think your club is ready? If you're a West Ham fan, do you think we're ready? Because I certainly don't. I'm not, you know, a couple of Juve, you know, that we've signed on the left-hand side. I think he's put in a couple of decent performances. You know, all these players that we keep on getting linked with and they fall through, and, you know, and then we're going for players if they, you know, they're going to be the answer to all our problems. And invariably they turn up and they just underperform all the time, or they're just not effective, or, you know, and then you think, okay, what about Potter? Is he, oh, we've got to give him a chance. Oh yeah, he's got to put his own players in. But he, you know, a good manager can also change the way we're playing with the players that he's got. You know, it is about saying to your players, no, play it forward. No, don't do this defensive style. You know, so the way we're playing is down to Potter, regardless of what players we've got. It's down to your manager, the style in which you play. And if, you know, if he tells you to be defensive, you're going to be defensive. If he tells you to be cautious, you're going to be cautious. You know, if your manager says, right, keep it tight for the first half, and in the second half, we're going to go all out attack. That's a style. That's something that you could label your manager and say, that's that kind of manager. We haven't got that. You know, it's not great football, and it's been terrible football, terrible performing football for a long, long time. But the way we're run as a club is just terrible. And this is why the petition, you know, if you're out there, you know where it is, go to a couple of the other channels. You know, I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the description below as well for you as well. You know, but if you want to sign it, not many people have signed it. But if you want to sign it, if you're hopeful of the next season, I get it. There's a lot of things have got to change for West Ham, a lot of things, because I can either see us getting relegated, or I can see, you know, the atmosphere just getting worse and worse and worse at West Ham, and fans just leaving, you know, really early, more and more. And I can also see us, you know, things just getting worse and worse for West Ham, and it just isn't a good thing. And, you know, hopefully, if the ownership changed, if the way we played football changed, if, you know, the way, if something can be done with the stadium, either knock the bloody thing down and start again, who knows? The financial implication of that would be huge, of course, but that's why we need an ownership change to have a vision for the club, to take us forward, to do something different. And we just haven't got that. We've just got an ownership who wants something for themselves. It's what they can take out of the club, not what they can put into the club. And don't be blindsided by the money that's been put in terms of transfers and everything like that, because, you know, they're running it like a business, which is fine, but it's not being run like a club for the fans, and that's the problem. You can have a happy balance there, and we haven't got a happy balance there. Let us know your thoughts about your club, about West Ham, about everything. If you like what I do here, keep on watching the videos. Okay, there's going to be a lot more coming about football in general, a lot more about boxing, maybe a lot more about other sports as well, but certainly I'm going to be making a few more reaction videos to what I see in the sporting game, and certainly about West Ham as well. Catch you again. Bye now.